Brandon Kisker here for Heat TV. Joining us now is head coach Ryan Huska. Coach, welcome back for the fall. It's getting closer and closer to hockey season.
It is. It's been, unfortunately, a long summer. You don't ever want to have the summers that we've had this past one, but now it's starting to get closer to when we're getting ready to go, and our schedule's out now, and I think the excitement's starting to build because the players, the staff, we all know that hockey's just around the corner.
Exactly. I mean, and we're going to talk a little bit and break down the schedule that we have just released. In fact, you can download this at StocktonHeat.com. But first off, let's start by your summer. How did your summer go? I know probably the kids are probably back at school now, but did you guys take any family vacations, do anything fun around California that maybe you didn't get a chance to go see during the season last year?
Yeah, we did a lot of local tourist stuff around California. So we tried to hit all the spots around San Francisco area, a little bit further down the coast. We got ourselves up into Oregon, and of course we spent a little bit of time in Canada where our family is from. So we had a great summer. It was nice to be able to get away. It recharges your batteries a little bit, and as I mentioned earlier, now it's the time to get back, get energized again, and ready to go.
Well, certainly when you get the schedule and you know exactly what opponents you'll be facing and when you'll be facing them, it's got to get that energy maybe a little bit higher, because now it's not who you may be playing. It's going to be who's going to be on the schedule and who you're going to be facing on every given night. And I guess we'll start real quick with opening night, playing it here, opening at home on the 15th of October against San Jose, a team that obviously was a tough opponent for us last year. But coming out of the gates, getting them right away, day one at in your home barn, is that one of those matchups that you may have circled already on the season as a big matchup potentially for you guys?
Yeah, I always think your opening night is a big game regardless of who you're playing. But I think in this situation for us, if you were to look back at our season last year, there was a few situations or a few reasons why we missed the playoffs. And our season series against San Jose was really one of those reasons. They really had our number last year, and this gives us an opportunity to get off to a fresh start against this team. So we want to make sure that when the 15th does come around, we're ready to play, and we want to start with a win in the right column, and then we're able to kind of build that momentum from there. But that was one of the challenging teams we faced last year. They played very well against us, and this year we have to find a way to kind of reverse that trend if we want to see ourselves in the playoffs.
And obviously one of those that I've circled myself is a December 8th matchup in San Jose. It's the first time you'll be at the SAP Center, and it's, again, obviously we know about San Jose being a tough team for us last year, but it was that building that was really tough. Is that one of those road games? Is that one of those that you circle as an opportunity to get maybe start the matchup off on the right foot?
Well, you know, that's a good question. I think every time you come into a new year, you have to leave the past in the past, and I think that's one important thing for our players. What happened last year really has no effect on what's going on this season with our team. We have a lot of new players. They're going to have a lot of new players. Of course, there's going to be a good rivalry because of the close proximity of the two teams, but we have to kind of carve our own path this year with the group of guys that we do have. And road games in San Jose, road games in Bakersfield, they're all important for us. We have to make sure we're prepared.
Well, one of those challenges that may have also contributed to missing the playoffs last season was how backloaded the schedule was. In the beginning portions of the month, it seems like, or beginning portions of the season, it seemed like you guys were practicing more than you were playing games. And now when you look at the schedule, it's a lot more spread out. And especially with the home games, you have 6. It's your busiest month in November, but after that, every other month has 5. So you'll never be too far away from home, with the exception of maybe that one trip in Texas later on in the season. But a little bit more of a friendlier schedule, I guess, for you guys in terms of playing?
Well balanced would be a good way to put it. And I think for us as a staff, we're really happy with the way it shook out this year. We have a chance to have some good road trips, which are always critical for getting a team together. We have a good one at the beginning of the year for us where we get a chance to get to Tucson for the first time since they've been in our division in particular. But we also have some good stretches at home, but there isn't a situation like we saw last year where we did practice a lot. And finding ways to keep your players enthused and upbeat and energized in situations where there's very long practice weeks can be a challenge. This year we don't have that situation, so I think it's going to benefit the players. It's going to benefit our fans here in Stockton, and I think our organization as a whole.
Now, you mentioned it already. There's obviously a lot of movement. Players go over to Europe. Players going to get called up to the big clubs early on. Obviously, there'll be injuries. There'll be a lot of new faces for every team, not just ours. But when you look at a couple teams that we've not played before and that fans have not seen, Tucson being one of them, formerly in Springfield. Obviously, you have Milwaukee that's coming onto the schedule, Grand Rapids, Charlotte. A couple good teams, affiliates of the Nashville Predators in Milwaukee, affiliate of the Detroit Red Wings in Grand Rapids, and then obviously Arizona in Tucson. And do you do much in terms of preparation at this point in time of the season when it comes to teams that we don't necessarily face or have not faced in a little bit of time?
At this point in the season, no. We'll do our pre-scouts as the games come up to when we're playing a Grand Rapids or a Milwaukee. Our coaches will do a good job of breaking those teams down. Really what we do for those teams now is just planning our trips as to when we're going to get out there and maybe different things we'd like to do with our team when they're on the road in new cities that we haven't been in before. So that's typically what we're going to look to do anyways, and we do more of our on-ice planning as those games do approach.
Is there any road trip in particular that you're looking to right now as either an opportunity to maybe get the boys a little bit closer together, closer knit, maybe a road trip that you're excited to go to, and anything like that? I mean, you're never too far away from home, as we mentioned, but there is that one lengthy one that's in Texas and San Antonio in February, but obviously you probably have a little bit more team chemistry with the road trips that happen in there early on in the season.
Well, that's what we're hoping for, and the trip to San Diego and Tucson at the beginning portion of the year will give our players some time together, and that's always important in the beginning portion of the season. The Texas trip at the end of the year, that's going to be a critical trip. When you look at it and when you break it down, that's at a point in the season where points are going to be at a premium, and we're going to have to go on to that road trip business-like. I think we have to find a way to get our players some time away from the rink as well, because it is a longer road trip. But that's going to be one where it's going to be very important that we're dialed in on, and we're trying to pull as many points from that trip as we possibly can.
Any similarities, you think, to what we experienced this past season with that big lengthy trip that we saw us go to Manitoba, to this trip in Texas late in the season again, where it might be very critical for a playoff push?
Well, unfortunately that trip to Manitoba was a critical trip for us. We saw that, and it didn't go the way we wanted it to go. I would like to say this year that we're going to put ourselves in a position not to have to be fighting for our playoff lives at that point. But when you do get late in the season, every game is magnified. And I think when you play teams that are in your division, that you're fighting for a playoff spot with, that trip is going to be really, really important for us.
And certainly I would think, too, that it would benefit you that a lot of those players that have experienced that critical 5-game road trip that saw us go up to Canada, didn't come back with the points that we wanted to, but now they're on the roster. A lot of them, Austin Carroll, Hunter Smith, those kinds of guys are going to be guys you're going to be looking to provide maybe a little bit of leadership to some of the younger players as well.
Well, and that's, a real, I guess you can say, opportunity for a lot of our players. They've had their year here. They understand what Stockton's all about. They're familiar with our territory and with this building and what our expectations are of them. Now it's opportunity for them to want more. And I think there's a lot to be said about being a good hockey player, but we want our players with the mindset that they're going to be great hockey players, and in turn we're going to become a great team. So some of our younger players that maybe didn't play quite as much last year, they're going to need to step up and fill larger roles. We've lost some pretty good players, and this is a great opportunity for a lot of players in our organization, and we want to push them to be great, not just good players.
Well, Coach, there are obviously a lot of games played in the Pacific Division. You're going to be seeing a lot of Bakersfield, which is always fun, the old rivalry between the Edmonton Oilers affiliate and the Calgary Flames affiliate. And then obviously you'll be playing a lot in San Diego. You'll see a lot of San Jose. But one team in particular that you'll see a little bit less of than last year, and maybe it's a good thing because you probably have Peter Budaj back in between the pipes, is Ontario. Only 8 games against the Ontario Reign, one of the fewer in terms of the Pacific Division. San Antonio, another team that you're seeing a lot less this year as well. Is that going to be beneficial maybe in the long run to some of those really good teams, especially Ontario, where you're not seeing them? Or is it something that you wish, hey, I'd love to play Peter Budaj. He's one of the best in the business, and I'd like to see our team compete against the best?
Yeah, you want to challenge yourself for sure. But, I mean, you look at the way schedules shake out. Every team we're playing against is going to be a good team. We know that. We've seen all the teams last year. Teams are going to improve every year. Whether we play Ontario 8 times or 12 times, it's a difficult game every time you play them. And we play Bakersfield 12 times. They're difficult games every time you play them. So every game on the schedule is a challenge. And if you're not at your very best, you're not going to give yourself a chance to win. So who we play, I don't think has really a big bearing on the way things shake out. It's more about our team and playing the way we're capable of playing to allow us to get wins against whatever opponent we may be facing on that given night.
Well, talking all about this schedule right now is making me very excited for October 15th to come along, and even earlier for our preseason game on October 7th. So, Coach, thanks so much for taking a few moments out of your time. I know you have to get back to work, so we'll let you to it. Head Coach Ryan Huska, everyone, on Heat TV.